Okay, those of you following our channel, you probably saw this car before. It was a JB shop getting some repairs done, and now we have a finished repair, and we're going to meet the owner and talk a little bit about the car's history and learn a little bit more about a Factory 5 Cobra as opposed to a factory Cobra. Here we go. I'm going to introduce you to Mike. Okay, Mike. This is a cool car. Can you tell me what this car is known as? What is this car exactly? Let's start with that.
Yes, hi. It's a Factory 5 Racing is the kit car manufacturer. They're a production kit car company out of Maine, I believe. And I've had this vehicle. I bought it in 2001. And when I say I bought the vehicle, I bought the kit. It came in boxes and on a crate. I didn't even see that part of it because my father-in-law ordered it. Had it delivered to his barn in Michigan.
Wow.
And we're in Arizona. If you can't tell, it's Arizona and humid right now.
Yeah.
He actually built it in his barn in Michigan.
Okay.
And he basically said, because he's built these cars before in the 80s, not Factory 5 Racing, they weren't around.
Right.
But previous sort of prototype 65 Shelby Cobra replicas. And so he loves the Factory 5 company. He researched it, thought it was wonderful. Of course, I said that's my most favorite car of all time, as it probably is for a lot of men.
Yeah.
And he said, well, if you can buy the parts, I'll put it together.
Well, who can turn down that deal, right?
So it took about a year to kind of think about it and figure out what we're going to put inside of it once we got the kit delivered. And
okay, well, let's stop there for a second.
Sure.
What was included in the kit and what wasn't? Let's figure that out.
Well, the basic kit would come with most of what you see here, the fiberglass body, except this has a lot of upgrades. The side pipes, for instance, are the chrome polished side pipes.
Okay.
The basic kit would come with black, I believe.
I see. Okay.
The chrome
roll bars.
Roll bars. Usually it comes with one.
Okay.
And I got the chrome polished, so I think that's an upgrade. So I got the two, right? Because I'll pretty much always have two people in the car with me.
Okay.
And then the bumpers, the front and rear bumpers are also add-ons. So these are the chrome bumpers. You can have just the I don't know what you call them.
The uprights or whatever.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there's some upgrades here.
And what about the wheels? Is that normally part of the kit, these wheels?
No. So the wheels, Factory 5 and other companies offer wheels, the Halibrand looking wheels. But my father-in-law wanted the real Halibrand knockoff, if you will. He found a company that actually makes real Halibrand knockoff wheels.
No kidding.
So these are true spinners.
Yeah.
Okay. And in fact, we just this one was a little loose, so we just tightened that one right now. And thankfully, I have a safety wire. Yeah. On all of them.
Yeah. So they can't go too far.
Can't go too far, thankfully.
But yeah, normally people, that's kind of a quick ID to spot a kit car often is to see, does it have lug nuts or does it have knockoffs on it?
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that was an upgrade for sure. Is finding a company that actually produced these, and I think the gentleman actually handmade them. I think it's a big production thing. So
yeah. Okay, now, I'm sorry I interrupted the story, but I was just curious about that. So these parts were delivered to a barn in Michigan.
Yes.
And then it was a matter of kind of deciding what you want to do with it, because clearly there's no powertrain inside.
That's right. That's right. And so the kit obviously doesn't come, you don't order an engine from the company.
Right.
You have to figure out how to get that. So, typically you get the 351 or 427 or 302.
Right.
My father-in-law wanted to get something different. He wanted, because I am not necessarily a guy that's going to work on engines. That's just not my skill set.
Okay.
And so he wanted to get something more modern. And so we were looking around, and he actually found I think it was a 1996 or 97 Cobra Mustang.
Doing the math, that's maybe a 5-year-old car?
That's right. Okay. Probably had about 40 or 50,000 miles on it. Okay. It was wrecked. I think it flipped in an accident. We didn't need the body. Right. So we took out the engine, the transmission, all the wiring, everything.
Okay.
and that's all in here.
Okay.
Now the challenge with that is when we open the hood.
Yeah,
or?
let's look under the hood here,
Okay.
because this is an interesting part of the story.
Yeah.
Right. So there you have a double overhead cam.
Yeah, 4.6 liter, 32 valve, twin cam engine.
Okay.
Cobra motor. It's all aluminum. I think the stock horsepower is about 315, if I'm not mistaken, 310 or 315.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some modifications over the years. I've had this thing for now on the road for 21 years.
Okay. So how easy was it to put this engine in this car?
Yeah, I had it delivered to me, so I thought that was wonderful. But yeah, my father-in-law, Kevin Flynn, told me that these kit car companies at the time did not they weren't designed to handle this modern motor. This motor is huge.
Right. It may be aluminum, but
that's right.
Takes up space.
That's right. It doesn't weigh a lot, comparatively speaking, but it takes up a lot of space. And he had to hoist this engine in and out of the car, I think 7 times, to re-weld the engine mounts.
Okay.
So he did his own welding.
Okay.
To make it fit into a car that it wasn't designed for necessarily.
Right.
But now, since that time, after he had it delivered to me in Phoenix, and I got to drive it for a while, I flew him out as one of the gifts to thank him that year, and we went on there was a Cobra Club in Arizona. There probably still is.
Okay.
After kids and everything, I haven't really done all that, but we followed this Cobra Club up to Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Wow.
Where the original Shelby dealership
is.
And
for those who don't know, that's easily a 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yes.
That's not just a quick little run.
Had some rain right around the Hoover Dam and Kingman, but we had a great time.
Right on.
About 20 Cobras from Arizona, but this was a kit car, Shelby Cobra kit car, if you will, rally to this location, and we got to ride on Las Vegas Motor Speedway, do some racing a little bit.
Right on.
But anyway, then we did a car show, and we had this up, and this Cobra, there were a lot of beautiful Cobras with a lot more expensive parts inside of them, but this one was a showstopper because nobody had ever seen a Cobra with this motor in it before. And so my father-in-law, had a crowd around him. He got to explain everything that's in it, and I can't even do what he does.
Right.
But he got to describe what was going on, and how he designed it and put it in. In fact, one of the owners of Factory Five Racing actually came up and asked him a lot of questions.
No kidding.
And as I understand it, the newer bodies can hold these kits.
Okay.
But I believe it was one of the first. He thinks it's probably the first or second one ever built with this motor inside of it.
Interesting. Well,
in the
and there's some advantages to having this kind of an engine as opposed to the old school carbureted, right?
That's right. Yep.
I'm thinking about it's fuel injected. It's going to be easy to start cold. It's going to not stall out. Doesn't need to be tuned all the time.
That's right.
Those are things come to my mind.
Yep. It's got power steering, power brakes.
Right. Okay. Right.
Like all the typical modern day niceties that you'd like in a vehicle and an engine, and you can basically plug it in to have it diagnosed.
Right.
There's a port. There's a port right here.
Oh, so it does. Yeah.
My father-in-law put the port right here, so you can just plug it in.
Okay, so it has the diagnostics port.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of the joys, I would say, as far as, because you drive this thing. This isn't just a show queen, right?
Oh, it's not a show car. If it was a show car, it'd be a lot prettier than in there. But yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I'll take it to a event every once in a while just for fun.
Sure.
But I don't really show it to win any awards necessarily.
Right.
I drive it. And
right.
I have
the
fun
main
with
goal
it.
is to drive it.
The main goal is for my kids who are now in their teenagers to have one of them. They fight over who gets to go with dad in the car.
Right.
So I had this pre-kids in 2001. In 2004, my daughter was born, and that kind of slowed down my adventures in the Cobra for a while.
Right.
But now they just love it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Anyway, it's got. I've also did a few modifications over the years. I added a stereo, which is really nice. It actually is loud enough when you're driving. Sometimes stereos in the Cobras you can't hear them. This has enough power.
Has enough power to do it, huh?
I put in new Cobra seats, the racing seats, instead of the lower bucket ones. Because I'm so tall, I was having trouble with the lower bucket ones.
Right.
So I had these installed.
Okay.
And so I've done a few modifications over the years. I added more horsepower. Not exactly sure. I added, it was an extra chip and a few other things.
A little bit of tuning?
Yeah, a little bit of tuning.
Okay.
New fuel. That's the most recent upgrade, the fuel lines.
Okay.
Some of the older fuel lines had some rubber down there. You know,
okay, so these are all the nice braided ones?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I did a lot of modifications over the years. I think I have about 360, 375 horsepower. It's plenty fast for me.
Right.
So.
And the 32 valve is going to rev happier than the old big blocks would.
That's right.
Generally speaking.
You know, it's quite, when you pull up to a stoplight and you're just idling, it's not as loud as a Cobra.
Okay.
It's not as crazy, which I kind of don't like, because I know the Cobras are obnoxious and that's part of it. But right. It's not as loud. But I'll tell you what, when you kick it into first gear and you take off, it is obnoxiously loud. I think it's actually louder. Okay. Than if I'm actually hitting it hard. Okay. And you know, it limits out on the around, I think 6,500 RPMs. Okay. Or 7,500. Yeah. Okay. So the power curve is different. Yep. So it's a lot of fun. Okay. Especially for a guy like me who isn't necessarily a guy that can fix things, you know. Yeah, you're not the every weekend mechanic type person, but you do enjoy it. Obviously. Oh, I do enjoy it, and I've done some minor repairs, brakes and whatnot. You know, I've gotten my hands dirty because I love to actually work on this car. Sure. I actually think my father-in-law, you know, it took him about a year to build it. Right. But I actually think he had more enjoyment building it in 1 year than I've had driving it in 21 years. Okay, so he got a lot of satisfaction. Yeah, I think so. I mean, he described some pretty frustrating moments. Because he couldn't get a lot of help with the new motors. You know, he'd calling, and so he actually had, for instance, the wiring harness had a lot of security systems built into it. Oh, right. That he had to bypass. Okay, that's tricky. And that's tricky. And so he had a Ford motor expert come out, and they couldn't figure it out. He wound up, it took him, you know, months to figure out how to bypass the security system. Right, I didn't think in order to make this all work. And he got to the point where he was on his hands and knees at times, saying, "What did I get myself into?" Yeah. You know, so it wasn't easy. Yeah. He did a wonderful job. It was a labor of love, and clearly he persevered, and you got a beautiful thing. Well, you know, let's put the hood down again for a second, because what I haven't gotten around to yet is what introduced me to your car was seeing it at JB's shop, and it looks like the repairs were completed quite well. Yeah. I remember the fender, the front passenger headlight was bashed in. That was gone. That was ripped back. There was fiberglass damage to about here. Right. And in a couple places. Yeah. And this was smashed and gone. This took the brunt of the brunt of the accident. It basically hit a Jeep's hitch. Okay. But it hit here, thankfully. Yep. It didn't do a whole lot of big damage on here. Okay. But however, because it was, you know, a hit, it did cause some swirling in the fiberglass. Okay. So there was some stress here. Okay. And so did they, I wasn't there to watch the repair happen, so obviously they had to repair under those stripes also. Oh yeah. And so they had to repair that fiberglass. And we've learned from JB that a fiberglass car needs to be fixed with fiberglass. Well, what's interesting, I mean, I met JB at a men's breakfast, and you know, I was telling him about my accident, and I said I needed to find a place to get it fixed. He goes, "Yeah, gee, where could you find a fiberglass company to fix that for you?" And I was like, "JB, come on, man!" I'm like, "Wow." Let's see. So I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I've been to his place. I know he did cars, but I didn't really equate fiberglass, you know, with fixing, you know, repairing. Anyway, so yeah, I drove it to his shop. Even with the damage, I could drive it. There was no engine damage or even frame damage necessarily. But they actually had to fix the fiberglass underneath and then repaint the whole front. Right. And you know, that's their expertise. It's beautiful. And they did a wonderful job. Wow. I'm very, very thankful that I took it to JB. Yeah. Well, that is a great, that's a funny story that you were talking to him about it without realizing he could fix it. Yeah. That's really great. Well, now we're passing the word on. By the way, you know, if you have a Cobra or a Corvette fiberglass body, maybe JB can help you out. Oh yeah, he definitely can. So, well, that's really cool. Well, I wonder if I could beg you to take me for a little ride around the block with this thing. That'd be a lot of fun. Sure, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. I'm excited.
you know, the sacrifices I go through, you know, to take viewers along for the ride, right? It's just a pure sacrifice for me. There we go.
All right.
Sounds good. Sounds very good.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
It's a lot of fun. My kids and I, if I'm not going on a long road trip with them, I at least get it out every once in a while to get it running, and we'll hit downtown Scottsdale and Mill Avenue and have fun going by ASU Stadium and going over the Tinkertown Bridge.
So is it a 5-speed? Is that right?
That's right. It's loud even when I try not to go fast.
Right.
So you know,
Yeah, it's
I
just,
kind of rationalize it that even if a police officer heard it, I could just say, "It's just, sir, it's just how it is.
Yeah,
it's just,
right.
You know, that's its gift."
a gift to mankind.
That's
Here we
right.
go.
Yeah. So.
Oh man. Yeah, nothing like.
But I've gotten it up to about 120, 130. But that was back when I was, you know, back when I was on a racetrack on a straightaway. But I had to slow down and make a sharp turn. And it's not necessarily built. I mean, obviously, you can race it and take it on a road track. But if I wanted to race this, you know, there are some guys that build these things that actually race them on the NHRA circuit and whatnot.
Okay.
You're going to want to have additional kind of you know, modifications put in.
Sure.
Make sure it's safe.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, I think, you know, for its intended use, you've got it set up the way.
Oh yeah, it's fun.